Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I said that without messing it up. I'm impressed with myself.
Congratulations.
Because all week I've been like, Geeky Geezers. There you go.
Giggity.
Okay. So
That's going to be my running joke, so get used to it, people.
I'd like to thank Nanette. She was the one that came up with the title. We've been
Yes,
trying
she
to
did.
wrap our brains around what to say. And Geeky...
You're going to keep hanging up
Speaking
on
of
it a
boomers.
couple times. Yeah,
Okay. I hate it when that happens.
that's okay.
I've ruined the intro now because now I had an echo because the Facebook went on, the YouTube went on. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah,
tonight.
exactly.
It's all the same. It's all bad. Okay. We love Face. We love. I mean, sorry, we love YouTube. We love Susan. We love everything about this until I find a adequate substitute. Okay. Anyway, how is everybody tonight? Matthew Flynn. Hello. I feel like I've just talked to you. We had a pre-show over on Troy's channel. But you can catch it later, and he's going to put it on Rumble as well. You can talk about.
I absolutely am going to have to now. Otherwise, only 4 people will have seen the stream.
And you can edit out all the swearing.
I am not. I worked hard on that swearing. Wow.
Okay, but look at this. Looking forward to tonight. Yes, thank you, Auditor Dread, Brian Gabbar.
Heck, you
hello.
even pointed out to me when
Media.
I accidentally edited myself.
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe, yeah. I think you said POS, but I'm not sure. Okay, hi everyone. I see my suggestion of nettings, nattering, nibobs was not accepted. Well, maybe that can be another stream. Maybe that can be another stream down the line. Okay. Okay, but we got a good group going here. How many people are in here so far? Let me see. 14, not bad. Okay, all right. We have some topics to talk about tonight. We've had a heck of a week, haven't we?
Oh my God, we have, and we just came from a stream talking about some of that. So,
but Geeky Geezers, Geeky Geezers. GG. Okay. All right. Anyway, Geeky Geezers. Study hall, very similar to study hall. We may change up the format now and then.
I swear I never got used to study hall to begin with, so it's perfectly fine that we got to go.
It never felt quite right. I'll say that. I mean, we started using us. We had to come up with something on the fly, and we stuck with it. But
yeah,
Geeky Geezers, because sometimes we feel like geezers, do we not? Mr. Pacelli.
I kind of, yeah. Well, dude, as somebody who just celebrated his 50th anniversary, I've spent a half a century on this ball of rock, and I guess I am a geezer. And I got to be honest with you, when I see the changes that have happened in this world, I remember some things that my grandmother used to say, and she just said, I don't recognize the world that we live in anymore, and I'm just getting world weary. And didn't understand it. I sympathized with it, but I didn't empathize with it. Now I empathize with it, and that kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, it can happen to you. I mean, I remember the other night. This is back to, if I'm going to branch out into maybe a new segment we're going to be trying on here, maybe in the beginning. It's called Good Old Days. We're doing a practice here tonight.
Whoa, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the good old days
I should not make that a regular
for about 10 minutes or until we lose half the stream. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, but yeah, the good old days. And
so you are a geeky geezer. Tell me about what it was like to be a geeky geezer back in the day, Boomer.
Well, I wanted to bring up something that you had brought up earlier the week. I was on what's his face? Daniel Herron's Birdman soundtracks of Birdman.
Soundtrack of Birdman.
And we were watching Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and I was pointing out that J.K. Rowling was pretty brilliant because the monster in that movie was in the book too, because I read the book, was a basilisk.
Yep.
And I was like,
yeah.
That's not the go-to petrifying monster. It's usually Medusa. And I said, I remembered a game for the old Atari 800 computer called Archon. Now, many of you may not even know that Atari made computers back in the day.
Yeah.
They were kind of getting done with game consoles. And they said, I don't know if this was after the big crash, like when they made about 1 million copies of E.T. and nobody bought them because it was terrible. And so they moved on into computers. And much like the Commodore 64, its competitor, kids would often, tell their parents, hey, I need the computer for school. Yeah, that's it. And they would get it because they wanted to play games on it.
Yeah.
And one of these games was a game called Archon. And it was made by a company, you may have heard of it, called Electronic Arts.
Yep.
And back in the old days, Electronic Arts was a much different beast than it is today. The games that were being made were usually, I think, made by one person, okay? And then, or like a couple, and you didn't have these huge teams back then. And
if I can make a geezer comment,
sure.
Those old games had a charm about them, and I'm speaking as someone that has a nostalgic connection to them, not just a modern hipster, a quirk about them. They were some pretty damn good games. Somebody posted a meme or whatever you'd call it that was like a beautiful painting of a dragon, and then like a pixelated 32-bit dragon, and making a comparison. And I'm like, I'll tell you, I played games with those pixels, and in my mind, they were just like the painting. You used your imagination.
You did. It's like when you would have an action figure, and maybe the action figure didn't represent. Like, I have an action figure of Indiana Jones. Okay, it doesn't look exactly like Harrison Ford, but close enough. I use my imagination. Okay, same thing for video games.
Let me tell you something.
Those old video
games. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you, and I'm going to
Sure.
get off on a slight tangent. But when you talk about action figures, you get me talking about Star Wars action figures. You look at that original farm boy Luke Skywalker with the goofy lightsaber that was, you'd pull out of his arm. Okay, silly as that seems. There are now people on Etsy, and because I've had so much to drink, I can't even remember his name. You guys that follow me, I'll do a video about him. But he's got this 3D printed, and you can buy from him on Etsy. You can pull out the lightsaber, and in its place, you can put a gun. So that hand is not wasted. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about here, right? The action figure that was just not articulated, that was just not useful, that was very but modern day people are finding ways to work around that. Sorry, Age of Boomer, go ahead with what you were saying.
I was thinking I that brought up the Indiana Jones figure I had, where he was dressed in the certain German socialist group uniform.
Yes,
and he had like the power arm that would flip up, I believe.
Yep.
But you couldn't actually stick anything in his hands, I don't think, or at least not in the one hand, because it was a fist, right? Yeah.
Let me tell you, that action figure line, completely missed opportunity. They could have put out a generic, National Socialist figure to be a villain figure and an army builder. And not only could you have used it with Indiana Jones, you could have used it with G.I. Joe.
Anything.
Or whatever. Yeah. That was a huge missed opportunity.
There were many missed opportunities back in the action figure. I always thought they did a good job with the Star Wars figures, but those
guys, fans are doing the best work. Go check Etsy out, because people are putting out, almost commercial, quality figures of all kinds of things you can't even imagine. Hell, if you are a 3D printer, you can download action figures and print them out yourself these days.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tangent. Had a lot to drink.
Stuff happens. We had a lot to talk about earlier, but the neat thing is that Archon was sort of like a modern version of chess, because you had the checkerboard and you had all these characters on it, but I don't think they moved in exactly the way chess worked. And when you could play it against a computer, you could play against another player, 2-player, and when both characters would meet up on the board, you would take control of that character and start duking it out in like a little arena, and you were in control of that character. So it wasn't like knight takes pawn or something like that. It was like you're actually fighting it out, yourself. And here's some of the characters from the board. On the light side, you had a Valkyrie, a Golem, a Unicorn, a Djinn, Wizard, Phoenix, Unicorn, and a Valkyrie.
Okay, yeah. Here, aren't you?
I'm referencing Wiki, C64 Wiki.
Because your memory isn't that good.
My memory ain't that good. Okay, no. I remember the Basilisk. That was about it. And then there was the dark side you could play as, and you would get like a Banshee, a Troll, a Basilisk, a Shapeshifter, Sorceress, Dragon. Manticore, goblins. Yeah, on the dark side, goblins are the pawns, and on the light side,
this is
knights are
exactly
the
the
pawns.
reason that I say that Aged Boomer is my brother from another mother, because when he mentioned this during Soundtrack with Birdman stream, he said exactly what I was thinking, because I'm watching this and it's the Basilisk and so forth. And I thought of Archon, and then he talks about it, and I'm like, oh my God, he is saying exactly what I'm thinking. Get out of my head, you fucker. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot what stream we were on.
It's okay, because you know what? That's why we have the what do you call it? Anyway,
I've got a non-alcoholic drink here.
Whatever. You can drink up. It's President's Day tomorrow. Anyway, what was I going to? I have a hard soda. I'm still working on. What was I going to say? Archon.
Oh, I didn't even ask what you were sipping on.
It's still the hard orange soda from earlier. I'm going to grab a Coke.
Well, but you didn't say it on this stream, so these people don't know.
I'm drinking
these 19 people,
a Henry's hard soda.
People, which is, almost 17 more than I had in my stream.
We'll be getting to the news soon enough. Like I said, this is a experiment, but next week I might have Troy pick the topic. But basically, did you have a Commodore?
That Troy, he's such a drunk. Let me talk about him a little bit.
Did you have a Commodore? What did you have? The Atari 800 or the Commodore 64?
I had both. I had the Atari 2600.
No.
Gosh,
the Atari 8. The Atari 8. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
The Atari 2600. Let me tell you this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Little Troy, born in 71. I don't know what year Atari 2600 came out, but, I used to go to the arcade. I used to go to, Woolworth on Wednesday afternoons. My grandmother would take me to the lunch counter, and we'd have bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches.
Oh, that's nice.
And then she'd give me 4 quarters to go play, Space Invaders.
Oh,
and then when I saw that Atari 2600 was coming out with Space Invaders, I wanted it so bad. And I told Santa, and I told my mom, and I told my grandma, I'm like, I know it's expensive. I know. But if I got no other toy this year, Atari 2600, that's what I want, right? Well, I said Atari. I didn't know it was Atari 2600 then, because it was the only Atari that was out at the time. And it was so expensive back in 1970, whatever it was. Oh, yeah. My mother, my grandmother, and my uncle all put in together to buy it for me. And they bought me the base unit, and they bought me Space Invaders. And let me tell you, if those were the only games I got, I'd have been the happiest camper. But of course, over time, they'd get me other, cartridges and games. And heck, I could almost do a stream about that separately. But yeah, I love that Atari 2600, and I played it to death. And let me just say that those controllers, those joysticks, they were made to take some frickin' punishment, because I never went through one, and I was incredibly hard on them. But I also then, when I was in high school, I am in no condition to do math, but I graduated class of 89, so you guys figure it out. Mm-hmm. My mom got me the Commodore 64 because it was the computer at the time. Mm-hmm. And she figured, you're going to be going into college, and if nothing else, you're going to need a word processor. You're going to need to do your papers on it. An honest engine here. I'm sorry, that's not politically correct. Whatever. Honestly, I did use it for college, and I did use it for word processing. But I did use it for a lot of gaming. So in answer to your question, Boomer, both.
Okay. Yeah. And
wow, that was a long answer.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I was referring, though, to the Atari 800 computer, not the game console. Now, it's
I don't even know what that is. Sorry.
That was Atari's competitor for the Commodore 64. It was about the same quality at the time, and of course they brought other versions. And it's funny. Mhm.
Another story. So in high school, freshman year in high school, I took a class in computers, and I'm so old that a class in computers in high school meant learning basic language programming.
Right.
And once I learned that, I wrote, what I did was I took a Twist-a-Plot book and turned it into a text adventure game
for
neat. Commodore 64. And it was a Star Wars. Well, no, I take that back. There was going around, and people would make copies of discs. There was a Star Wars text adventure that I had gotten from somebody. I took a Star Trek choose your own adventure and turned it into a choose your own adventure using basic languaging, wrote it on a disc and shared it with some friends. And I don't know if it got any traction or not. Who knows? This was way before the internet.
It could be out there online somewhere. You never know.
I'll have to do a search. That's a good point.
What if it got shared around and then it just became? I'm curious though.
If that's true, thumbs up. I don't care. I don't need any credit for it. I'm fired up about that.
So next week's topic could be choose your own adventure books. Okay.
Right?
Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll dig one out and we could do a live thing. But I was just going to bring this up. I wanted to reminisce because it dawned on me and Troy that we are getting up there, and some of you younglings may not actually, or youngins, I should say. Let's not use younglings. May not remember.
No. Let's use younglings. I like that. Okay. It's very geeky. It fits our community. I think that's fair. And
basically, back in the day that people forget that Atari had a computer. And you know what? For the time, it was fairly sophisticated. And I got to play my own version of Space Invaders. It was called Deluxe Invaders. And it was actually short for Deluxe Space Invaders, which was the sequel that got released in arcades. And the difference between that,
I know exactly what you mean.
You shoot the aliens and they split in two.
Oh God!
Remember that?
I hated that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think it got the Japanese title was something different. If you pick up like a Space Invaders collection, it has a different title, but it's the same game.
And Annette just took her earphones out and stuck her fingers in her ears because she can hear my side of it so loudly.
Okay. Anyways, but anyway, cool beans, and okay. So that was us. That was good old days, okay. But
I'll tell you what, this is some fertile ground for future stories for you guys. We are Geeky Geezers, and we have some things to share with you geeks. Some old time geek details that I think you guys are going to enjoy going forward.
Yeah. And we'll probably do a short segment in lieu of one news story. That's what I was thinking. So it's an experiment in progress, but we have the news stories to cover tonight. And I want to make a point about something. I know Please. That lately there's getting to be contention and about even wanting to cover all of this negative stuff being done by companies. And I guess
got to cover the news that exists, right?
I got to cover it. When I find positive stuff, I am going to report on it. When I see stuff that's worthy of praise, I will report on it.
But there's not a lot of it.
And at some point there will be. I'm keeping the faith, okay?
God bless you.
Well, I'm thinking if things ever open up and maybe things get back to some semi-normality. We don't even have movie theaters open right now, so we can't even talk about box office. Like, what is a success? What isn't? I mean,
dude, I'm still joking about the fact that Wonder Woman 84 is going to sweep the Academy Awards because it's the only freaking movie that came out last year.
All right, cool. So what is our first story of the night?
Dude, I don't know anymore.
Well, I was confused because I know with your notes there was stuff on the recent Gino Carano stuff.
Forget all the Gino guys.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
If you're interested in the Gino Carano stuff, come over and follow me. I'm I'm kind of in a bad situation here because I can't drop a link to my.
No, but the link is in the description for his stream here, so you can check it out.
Oh, thank you so much.
So it's right there.
That stream is going to be coming down shortly, so go check it out while you can. I am going to be putting it up on
Rumble.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to be putting it up on Rumble.
When that happens, though, I'll put a link to it. I'll put a link to the Rumble in there. Okay.
swear your head off?
Yes.
I'll get the link and post it.
And Nanette's gonna post the link in the stream in just a moment. But guys, we're not gonna although that is probably the biggest geek news of the week. I did a whole hour stream on it. It's gonna go up on Rumble in a little bit. Go check it out on YouTube while you can, or it'll be on Rumble in a little while.
And who knows, if we run out of topics tonight, we could chime in on it. But I think we said most of what we wanted to in the Troy stream.
Exactly. So I don't know. Let's start with the streaming wars, right?
Well,
so let's. It is directly related. Cancel Disney Plus trends before Disney investor call.
That is true.
My goodness, guys! This whole Gina Carano thing has been a poke in the eye to Disney. Literally the day before their investor call. Just to reiterate what I said in the last hour, Nanette and I sold our Disney stock. Not only are people canceling Disney Plus in protest to the firing of Gina Carano, but Nanette and I sold. We had bought many years ago. In fact, after 9/11, Nanette and I bought one stock in, or one share, I guess you would call it, in Pixar, which after the Disney acquisition of Pixar and the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm and Marvel, it had literally quadrupled. We sold our stock on Investor Day in protest because of the Gina Carano situation. And check out my video that Nanette just shared to find out what happened to that stock, but it suffered. And Disney is concerned. And I'm probably way understating that because I am really reining myself in right now.
You want me to read some quotes from the article, though?
Please.
There's a battle of wills and won'ts taking place on social media following Cara Dune actor Gina Carano being fired from Disney's Plus's The Mandalorian. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus is currently trending on Twitter, but a cursory glance shows some fans actually supporting the hashtag's message and others simply using it to express how they have no plans to cancel those subscriptions, especially with new episodes of Marvel Studios' WandaVision still dropping every day. But let me see.
I'll tell you what, we all know if you really want to follow these videos and you want to see them, you can see them for free if you are so inclined. But those of you that feel that strongly just don't care, because ultimately you're going to follow these videos, you're going to watch them, and you're just going to be disappointed as they become more and more, social justice warrior preaching pulpits.
Yeah. And I had a comment here too. I'm actually starting to wonder if Disney is an anti-American company at this point. I don't know. I mean,
I said it in a previous stream. I want to reiterate it. This idea of serving two masters is not going to bode well for Disney. Look, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve both the United States and China. Look at what's happening. Okay, go back to the Cold War and think if you were trying to share films both in the United States and Russia, how would you make movies? How would you do that? And ultimately, the Soviet Union collapsed. So if you put your money behind the Soviet Union, you screwed yourself and you'd go bankrupt. If you are tying your wagon to China, ultimately, it's gonna collapse. History repeats itself. You're a fool to believe it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, what was the other article here? Disney Plus canceled Gina Carano's firing sparks. Fury network dragged for racism and pedophile row. Okay.
Again, check out my video. We covered all of this over the past hour, where Pedro Pascal and what's her name? Ireland. I'm forgetting her name. I don't give a crap about her. All these racist, sexist comments she's making. And Disney, excuse me, I should be very specific. Lucasfilm, their official Twitter page came out in support of her racist comments. Yet they fired Gina Carano. They have made their stance clear. If you are going to continue to support Disney, you're making your stance clear too.
Well, I was disturbed to read about who was working at their parks. Some convicted people, actually. If you know what I mean.
Yep.
For soliciting underage, I suppose. That's that's not good.
Dude,
okay.
they thanked the city they filmed Mulan in, and they're right next door to a freaking modern day concentration camp.
Yeah, I mean,
how much worse can you get?
Yeah, I was wondering where the Disney family is on all this. I don't know.
The Disney family doesn't have a say in this anymore, unfortunately.
That I've been noticing this a lot. Like I was wondering about the Tolkien estate too.
Yep.
I have no idea how this Lord of the Rings series will turn out, but I have some reservations about it. Yeah.
You have a choice. You have integrity and you have greed. You choose greed, you don't get a say anymore. So guess what happens?
You basically sell your wares to a company that doesn't care about the wares and just cares about making money.
But in my stream, I shared how much money Disney lost on Friday in the stock market. Look, I'm not delusional. I know that that's going to turn around eventually. If you own Disney stock, it's going to eventually go up, probably because people are fucking stupid. But Nanette and I'm sorry, I did it again.
Okay. You did it again. It's okay.
When you upload this to Rumble, you can bleep out all the.
I'm going to bleep out everything. Okay.
Yeah. But it's going to be beep. It's going to be an hour of beep.
It's fine. It's fine.
But,
anyways.
But really, seriously, I mean, this is. Nanette and I sold our stock. If you own stock, you're probably going to continue to make money over time. But how do you feel about making money on concentration camps? That's all I'm saying. That's why Nanette and I chose to sell our stock. And when we found we made a buttload of money, we turned around and contributed that money to Operation Underground Railroad because we figured it was only right.
Yeah. And it's going to a good cause. Yeah, definitely. And see, I can always put a link to that too in the description at some point too. But should we move on to the next topic?
Please. So Marvel. You want to talk about Marvel?
Marvel ruined She-Hulk.
Oh gosh. So another social justice warrior win this week is they freaking went after Star Wars. What's her name?
That Star Wars girl.
Yeah, she's an artist. She's a very talented artist. I don't own any of her art, but one of these days I think I'd like to purchase a print of hers because she's very talented. And she did a because she saw the artwork for the new She-Hulk, which is, I'm sorry, you look at She-Hulk and you can't tell it's a she anything.
Yeah, I wish I should have downloaded a copy of the picture to share, but some of you have probably seen it already. And basically, yeah, this is where this started. They have, of course, steadily been changing.
Well,
She-Hulk
if you look at the thumbnail
years.
for tonight's video, you can see the artwork from Marvel Comics.
And if you click on the article, it's there too. Yeah,
right. And the picture that Star Wars girl did, kind of, making her face look a little more feminine, putting breasts on her, because how do you demonstrate a character is female? You put breasts on them. I mean,
when I first saw it, I thought it was that totally awesome Hulk, like the other Hulk they made, and I didn't realize that was she. Yeah, that's what I thought at first. I was like, "Oh, is that? Oh no,
yeah,
supposed to be a woman." Okay, and
that's the key. You call it She-Hulk, and it doesn't look like she. That's a problem. That's a disconnect, and that's all she was saying. She was saying, "Okay, let's feminize this very muscular person," because if you look at the whole history of She-Hulk, the whole story behind Jessica, I forget what her name is.
Jessica Jones?
No. It wasn't Jessica Jones, but her name was Jessica.
Okay.
She's a cousin to Bruce
Oh,
Banner.
yeah, the character. I'm sorry, the character.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she her origin story was that something happened. She was dying. Bruce gives her a transfusion because they're the same blood type, but he ends up passing on the gamma radiation to her, and she becomes She-Hulk. She has the ability to change, but it's not like Bruce where it only happens when she gets angry. She literally has control over the change. And she just decides to stay She-Hulk because she doesn't lose her personality. Because she's like, the only difference is I'm big, I'm buff, and I'm green. And I'm good with that.
Yeah, also rather attractive, as I used to see pictures
Exactly.
of her. Right,
She looks like Gina Carano, a very muscular woman.
Yes.
Very feminine, very beautiful. She can kick your freaking butt.
Yes.
And she's and by profession, she's a lawyer. She's very intelligent. Talk about your strong woman, strong feminine woman. She doesn't need to give up her femininity to be strong. So my argument is the modern day Marvel has lost track of what it means to be feminine and still be strong. No. Apparently you got to look like a guy in order to be strong.
I had a comment here though. If men like it, it's bad. So we have to make it so men don't like She-Hulk. I think that's what this is all about. Okay.
No. But unfortunately, they went so far that nobody likes it.
Yeah, well, that can happen too. It was interesting. There was a quote from the article, though. Of course, in the comic books, She-Hulk is more known for being a parodic take on the Hulk. It was only created by Stan Lee, so Marvel would own the copyright to the character, as it was thought the Incredible Hulk Lou Ferrigno TV series was going to introduce a female version of the Hulk.
That's actually true.
Yeah,
there's test footage from a pilot they were going to do, starring I'm forgetting the actress's name.
Oh, I want to know who it was now. Okay.
She was the one that played Dolph Lundgren's wife in Rocky 3. Help me out.
Rocky 4, you mean?
Rocky 4. Right. Brigitte Nielsen. Thank you.
Nielsen, yes. Okay.
She was going to be the She-Hulk. Basically the same storyline in the Lou Ferrigno, Hulk story. But for whatever reason, they weren't giving her green skin. They were doing her hair green, but she wasn't going to be green skin. It didn't. There's a reason they didn't go forward with it. But it was going to be Brigitte Nielsen.
I think it was they thought test audiences did not like the green skin on her all the time, so just make the hair green. It's like Beast Boy on the new Teen Titans show. I think they only made his. I haven't seen it, so maybe they fixed it. But I know the first preview he just had the green hair.
I don't know. Brigitte Nielsen, green skin would not have. She still would have been.
It would have been interesting. Yeah,
I'd have been fired up about that. I'd been okay with it.
Good enough for Lou Ferrigno, right?
It was. You're absolutely right. I mean. But yeah, that is true. That is absolutely true. That's why the comic book decided to do it, to make sure that they own the rights to the She-Hulk character. They were not opposed to the TV company going ahead with She-Hulk, but they wanted to make sure they made royalties off of it.
Can I just say right now, I am rather disappointed with how even the MCU has handled the Hulk. Especially recently, I saw the Edward Norton movie, the Incredible Hulk Edward Norton movie. I liked it a lot when that came out.
Yes,
I was actually hyped because he's one of my favorite Marvel characters, is the Hulk. Okay, and because he's sort of a monster, and like I said, I think I said this on the Professor Geek stream a few weeks ago, that how when I was a child I was more fascinated by monsters than I was by heroes, and Hulk is sort of both. Okay, there's sort of the Jekyll Hyde thing going on there. That's why I always found that character fascinating, and. They cast Edward Norton, and then I guess they didn't want to deal with Universal anymore, so they just kept him in. He would make a guest spot in an Avengers movie or a Thor movie, but he would never get his own movie anymore. And there was so much more to do with the Hulk, and it was just. And now I think they have the rights back, but I don't have the confidence that they may know what they're doing, and I don't know, just especially after they treated him.
No, because I've heard they're planning to do a She-Hulk movie, and I got to be honest with you, I'm starting to tune out from Marvel.
Disney.
I have been watching MondoVision, but I probably will see the Doctor Strange film. But beyond that, I'm probably not going to follow anything from Marvel.
It's getting tedious, and plus, it's being done by the company we're not liking too much these days.
Not at all. Well, and let's face it, I say I'm watching these things, but they're not making any money off of me.
I'm gonna say you could always go to your public library. They have stuff. Okay. Anyway, if you have to.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say though? I don't know. I agree. Leia Plus I agree. Agent Boomer. Hate how they have done. Hold on. Done to the Hulk such an insult.
Leia Plus Size and Wolf 10 Media, I'm really sorry you missed my stream last hour, but I'll be putting that up on Rumble. So I hope you guys check it out and let me know what you think.
Soy Hulk. Yeah, I hate to say it. Last movie, that's what it was. I didn't the sensitive Hulk, like, oh, smashing is so gratuitous. I don't want to see that in the Hulk, okay? I'm sorry. And I know there was that time in the comics.
That's like saying I'm going to see a werewolf movie, but I don't want to see any blood. I don't want to see anyone get killed.
I know there was a time in the whole comics where he did become it was Bruce Banner, but it was like She-Hulk where he had control over it. He was just like he was.
There was
that could have been interesting.
That last movie that they did, the Avengers, where he was Professor Hulk, that does come from the movie. In fact, it was interesting because he was not only as intelligent as Banner, but he was actually physically stronger in theory, at least baseline. But it's very convoluted, and Hulk has a very complicated history. We could almost do a whole show about him with Mr. Fix-It, the Gray Hulk, Savage Hulk. Did
you know there was a Dragon magazine once, and because I think at that time TSR published the Marvel role-playing game, right? I believe they did. Yes. And I think according to the rules, the Hulk could get so strong that he could break adamantium.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, here's a bit of trivia for you, and I'm sure there's YouTube videos about there. Hulk can get so strong that he can punch his way through the multiverse. He could literally break the universe. Yeah, that's actually a story that's out there.
Oh, I like Samuel Proctor's comment. I'm sorry, I zoned out there for a second. What did you just say?
No, that's okay. Let's get to Samuel Proctor.
Okay. John Byrne looked at all the Marvel characters and said, all of you have personal problems or bad luck, but She-Hulk is a supermodel, hot, and has fun being a superhero. Yeah, remember when superheroes used to be fun?
Yeah.
In the old days. That's what I liked about the Marvel movies as opposed to the DC movies. For a while, they were just having fun.
She-Hulk was one of the pillars in, and people think this is totally sexist, but every year Marvel used to put out their version of a swimsuit issue. And they would do these cheesecake drawings of all of not just women. I remember
those.
Not just women, but men too.
The men too. No, the men would get in there too.
She-Hulk got some great artwork in there. Some of it by John Byrne. And
I like
she
Psylocke.
was smoking hot.
I remember Psylocke in those swimsuits.
Oh issues. Yeah, Psylocke. Yeah.
Okay, let's be blunt.
I mean, I am very, very hetero, but I certainly have my wish fulfillment. I wish I could look like some of those guys.
Oh yeah, certainly, definitely. But I don't know. I mean, this is another one of these things where these days the stuff coming out of the Marvel comics, why even bother paying attention?
Well,
but this
Marvel
was so
comics,
egregious. This was
Marvel
so egregious.
Comics
I had to
does not care about how many books they sell. All they do is they publish books in order to get their social agendas out there and continue to hold the rights to these characters. Their money is actually coming from the MCU.
Yeah.
Excuse my hiccups. I have had a great deal to drink tonight.
Okay. Well, do you know how you get rid of hiccups?
I'm drinking water.
No, that's what everybody says. Drink water. I hold my breath. You hold your breath for as long as possible.
And I'm on a chat show, man.
Well, that's true. Well, then you're going to be hiccuping all.
Is that your way of saying shut up?
This is going to prove the first idea for the show title correct. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Okay, but we got other Marvel news. Should we move on?
Keanu Reeves as Craven. I'm assuming that's in Spider-Man, right?
Well, that wasn't my impression. the impression I get from this article, hopefully I was reading it correctly, okay, was that the original idea was to have him be the villain in, or at least there was maybe behind the scenes stuff that they would have him be the villain in the third Spider-Man movie. But then they went on to do the entire multiverse thing, right? That's where they're planning to go with their one. So
who knows? Yeah,
I mean,
I think there's so many people in it. I'm not even sure Tom Holland has room in that movie anymore.
Okay, but
I'm just joking. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know, funny. Okay. Anyway, though, but I wanted to make a point that let me see. Once the dust is set, hold on. I am discombobulated tonight. Okay. But I wanted to make a point, though, that I think that this Craven movie is supposed to be a standalone movie, a la Venom, a la the upcoming Morbius. That's what I think.
Guys, I really have a distinct problem with creating movies around villains. You introduce villains in hero movies. That's where you do it. And if they then spin off to being anti-heroes, then they can get their own movie. But if they are villains, this whole Joker movie, should not have happened.
I don't know. Let me read from the article because I could have read something wrong. But once the dust has settled for Spider-Man Far From Home and speculation started swirling about the Whipslinger's third solo outing in Marvel Comics universe, Craven the Hunter was quickly established as the first runner-up to be the next major Spidey villain. That makes sense. I could see Craven as the main villain headlining a movie. There's been no further news on the project since, but latest rumors are claiming that Keanu Reeves is being eyed for the titular role in Craven the Hunter and has now officially been offered the part. Okay, so in Craven the Hunter, I'm taking that to mean that this could be a solo movie, but I could be wrong. Of course, Reeves is linked with comic book adaptations on an irregular occurrence, and there's nothing to confirm these reports. But as much as fans have been waiting for him to tackle a major Marvel property, he probably wouldn't be the right fit for Craven. Okay, 56-year-old is one of cinema's all-time great action heroes that can't be denied, but Craven the Hunter has typically been depicted as hulking, an imposing figure, something the John Wick star most definitely is not, despite his proven chops in the genre. So he's bound to show up in another comic book movie soon enough. They had always had rumored that he would play Gambit. That was always the big favorite, that he would play Gambit in the next movie. Okay?
I hate to say this, but Keanu Reeves, age has to be taken into consideration, and Keanu's getting to the point where you gotta really think about what age do you want, and does it always have to be a famous character? Owen Lister is saying that he can't see Keanu as Craven. He really wants to see someone more muscular in the role. Personally, if I was going to cast Craven, it needs to be someone who can chew the scene but is physically muscular, and it does not need to be somebody who is well known. I am just defending Keanu because he's Keanu. And I think Keanu is an incredible actor and could play any role he wants. But he's not physically imposing. You need that Ricardo Montalban chest if you're going to play, this role. But
and to be fair, Keanu is the type of actor, if it required, he probably would try to work out for a role.
He probably would.
Yeah.
He would bulk up and shock the hell out of us.
Yeah. But Keanu can be in anything at this point, so I don't know why he would necessarily want to be Craven. That's why I kept thinking, like I said, I might have been reading something article, but I kept thinking they would do it as a solo movie, like, oh, he's really an anti-hero. Because, again, he's one of these Spider-Man villains that maybe isn't
No, because the premiere, the reason you bring in Craven the Hunter is for that multi-comic arc that they did with him that leads to his death. That storyline was freaking epic, and that is cinema worthy. I don't see them doing it. I don't see them doing it right, but that's the only reason you do Craven.
Yeah.
I
think so. Yeah. Otherwise,
that classic cover of Spider-Man crawling out of the grave. That is,
that would be an excellent time for me. Like I said, I'd love to see Craven as a heavy in one of the Spider-Man movies. And maybe, like I said, I just read the article wrong, but I have like a knee-jerk reaction with Sony, and I keep thinking that if they're going to be casting someone like Keanu Reeves, it's to be Craven as his own character in a movie, okay, instead of it being we're going to make Craven. In fact,
I don't even know what's going on with the Sony relationship with Disney anymore.
It's still good from what I hear. They had trepidations like after Far From Home came out. They were like, "This is gonna be the last time we're gonna see." I want to say Tobey Maguire, but it's not Tobey Maguire. Hold on,
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. Okay, all right.
In the MCU, yeah,
yeah, and then of course they worked something out, and now they're back. So
I'll tell you what, I think they've decided with WandaVision and the pending Doctor Strange film, they're going with you know what? We're opening up the multiverse, so we don't even have to make freaking sense anymore.
So is that going to explain where Venom? Is the Venom movie a multiverse version?
Yeah.
Of
so
Venom,
there's a Sony thing, and there's what's happening over there, and there's the Marvel universe,
and then we'll have Tom Hardy show up as Venom, as villain in a Spider-Man movie in the MCU. But
I don't know.
Anti-hero in the other universe.
I
don't know. Okay.
That they didn't have access to, we can bring in now, and I'll be honest with you, in WandaVision, a genius way for them to bring the 20th Century Fox and the X-Men into it actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's a clusterfuck. I mean, they're doing the best they can with the milkshake they were handed, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Well, we had big news for the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, right?
Yep. Why don't you go ahead and tell them about that while I pull up Professor Geek? I'll be right back.
Yeah, go pull Professor Geek. Okay, thanks, so are you guys ready for a gender swap for a Captain America character? The Falcon and the Winter Soldier merge confirms the identity of Aaron Kellyman's Flag Smasher. Okay. And if I'm going to read from this article, the recent trailer for Marvel's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier gave as a glimpse behind the mask of Aaron Kellyman's villainous Flag Smasher, and the character's identity has now been confirmed. It was widely speculated that Solo, a Star Wars story actress, Aaron Kellyman, would be playing Flag Smasher in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier when we first learned that she joined the cast of the Disney Plus series. And that was confirmed, just in case the massive red curls didn't give it away, when we saw the character in the recent Super Bowl trailer. Now the identity of the first live-action take on the Marvel Comics villain has been revealed. In the comics, Flag Smasher's real name is Carl Morgenthau, and some official... Okay. Okay. And the official merch has now confirmed that Kellyman will indeed be playing the gender switch interpretation of that same character named Carly Morgenthau. What do we think? Any thoughts? Oh, Lord, Trooper F92525. Well, I mean, Flag Smasher, never heard of this one. Well, I'll read you a little bit more about this, okay? Morgenthau, hope I'm saying this right, was a leader of an anti-nationalist organization known as Ultimatum, underground liberated, totally integrated mobile army to unite mankind in the source material. While Carly is sporting a very different costume, it looks like she will take on a similar role in the Disney Plus series. Okay, so there you go. That is Flag Smasher. Flag Smasher is likes to smash flags, no more, okay? No more national identities. We're all going to be a one world country, okay? That's what I'm assuming that villain is. Which makes me beg the question is the big twist on the show going to be that Flag Smasher is not really a villain after all, and it's the nationalists that are the problem, okay?
That's a good question. So I don't know. The fact that I obviously I didn't hear what you said up to this point, but the fact that they decided to gender swap a character pisses me off to begin with.
Well, there's a rule too. Flag Smasher is a villain, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so you have a female villain, and I'm assuming in Captain America and in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's going to be It's going to be to male heroes, correct?
Right.
Critical Drinker did a video on this, especially in regards to Disney. Disney will not have a male hero beat a female villain. They will not do this. And he was citing examples. Every time Kylo Ren went up against Rey, okay, it was a draw or she beat him, okay, or beat him back, okay. In Thor Ragnarok with Kate Blanchett, Thor is kind of getting his butt kicked until he basically causes Ragnarok, and that's what destroys her. It's not really him destroying her, okay.
True.
Do you understand the Hela and all that? But Leia plus size is getting fed up with all this race and gender swapping. Yeah, well, a lot of people are. But my main point is, though, if she's a female villain and maybe Winter Soldier and Falcon, they don't beat her, maybe she's tougher than they are. And then we learn on she's really the good guy because it's really the nationalists that are the problem. Yeah. And she's just trying to stop nationalist extremism.
Because let's face
globalism.
it, Falcon is no longer Falcon now. He's going to become the new Captain America, and that makes him the imperialist, villain to the SJW mob.
Well, that's another thing too. Is Falcon Captain America on this show? I mean, they have the shield, but they're calling the show Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like they haven't committed him or anyone to being the new Captain America.
Boomer, I have no fracking clue. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not even going to be watching this show, so I can't even invest in it.
I don't know. I mean, the Falcon and Winter Soldier Super Bowl trailer spot smashed online viewer records for a streaming series.
I mean, somebody from this community is going to have to say, "Yep, I saw that Falcon and I almost said the Falcon and the Snowman, the Falcon and the Winter, pretty close, right?"
He should be the Winter Soldier's arch nemesis, the Snowman.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I thought it was great, and it's as good as WandaVision. You guys really should see that, so go check it out. I mean, it's going to take something like that for me to actually bother with the bandwidth to download the darn show.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer looked all right. I did watch it before we had the horror show that was the certain actresses firing this week. Okay, but I thought, hey. That actually doesn't look bad. It looks like a Captain America movie or show without Captain America in it. But,
certain people in the community would say you had some positivity. So what's wrong with you? You should know better.
Yeah, well, maybe I should. But when it comes,
what's wrong with you being hopeful and aspirational?
Well, at any rate, it's at this point though. Yeah, when it comes to major studios trailers, this is from the article, fared the best during the Super Bowl. It stands to reason that it should be Marvel's upcoming Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The series, which reteams Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, and Daniel Bruhl from the Avengers verse, draws 125 million views. That's from its spot and trailer traffic combined, and in 24 hours following the big game. Now, that's huge if you think about it, okay? Yep. And it's not only is it a record for a streaming series trailer, but it squashes a number of other trailer viewings. It dwarfed WandaVision only had 53 million in 24 hours following the last primetime Emmy. So
I know it's not on our list of things to talk about, but WandaVision has been getting a lot of criticism from even the fans that have really enjoyed it, because spread out week by week with less than a half hour of show each week, people are getting kind of sick of not getting enough bang for their buck, so to speak.
Yeah. But this was before the Gina Carano firing. I don't know if that's going to make any difference in whether or not people are going to bother watching the show, or if they're just going to treat that as, I'm just going to watch Star Wars, but I'll keep watching Marvel.
That's
I have no idea.
What Samuel Proctor says about, I ain't watching anything MCU after Far From Home. Far From Home has been out for a while. Personally, I haven't gotten around to it either, but that's saying something.
Yeah, maybe people didn't like that movie. I didn't hate it, but then again, I went with very low expectations because I don't even know how I ended up watching that. I think I checked it out or something. But it was just, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if this I have to tell you, I got a lot of the fire knocked out of me of even discussing anything Disney lately because it's like I'm not. We talked about this on the previous stream. I'm not liking the company lately. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what you know, I'm not sure if you want me to broach this topic at all. We covered it extensively in the last hour,
Yeah.
but I'm of the mind that boy, even when I'm agreeing with you about Disney related stuff, just when I'm starting to come around to, yeah, I don't want to support Disney on anything, the whole "I told you so" thing in the community just puts a bad taste in my mouth. So
Yeah. Me too.
that whole camp has pretty much nuked everything. They want to destroy Disney. They want to destroy Star Wars. They want to destroy, you know, our community. They want to destroy everything. They've done it. They've ruined friendships, to be honest with you. It's a microcosm of what's going on in our country today.
I was reading an article, like this was even before the Chrono firing, that like it felt people were making a comment about even the Star Wars fan community that the divide is worse now than when Last Jedi happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is splintering off. Everybody's fighting. It's just, it's awful. And, yeah, so I don't know going forward. I don't know how much I'll be covering Disney stuff, but if it's newsworthy, I'm gonna report on it.
We have to, yeah,
it's
because
what's out there.
I am not going to be like the shills out there that only covers what we care about and ignoring other stuff. You know what? We'll talk about it. We'll give our opinion about it, but we'll bring the news to you because that's what we've committed to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that everything Marvel? Did we cover everything with Falcon?
We covered everything Marvel, but we have, unless we want to relate Josh Whedon to it, since he did correct a couple Marvel movies, we have.
That is a good transition. Very good, yes. Boomer.
Okay.
Joss Whedon, abuse claims by Charisma Carpenter, supported by Sarah Michelle Gellar and Michelle Trachtenberg. Did I mispronounce it?
You said Trachtenberg.
You know what? Okay. I've had a lot to drink. Give me a break.
It's okay.
I'm lucky anyway, I'm saying full sentences here.
Did you? What were you sipping on tonight, by the way? I didn't ask you earlier in the stream.
Oh, we didn't talk about it in this stream. Yeah. Up until just a little while ago, I was drinking a vodka cranberry. And I say it because that's the common name for it, but really it was cranberry and Everclear, and I got pretty damn looped because I was feeling pretty hot after the last hour. But I am coming down, guys. I'm overplaying my drinking hand because I've had a bottle of water and now I'm working on a Diet Cherry Coke. So
sure. Yeah. Well, that sounds nice.
Because I'm on somebody else's stream and I'm trying to censor myself, and I've already blown it a couple of times.
It's okay. Anyway, Horizon Talker says the divide in fandom is worse because the fandom was united by love for the thing. Once that love is killed, you don't have anything to unite the fans.
And
I'm sorry,
and they have specifically found ways to turn the fans against each other, and it's like we're finding ways to contribute to that. That whole YouTubers that are out there saying, "See, I told you so."
Yeah.
Gina Carano, you guys were trying to enjoy the Mandalorian, and you guys are idiots for having done that. And it just drives a wedge through the community that would otherwise be, in solidarity with each other.
Yeah. And Owen Lister says, in other news, I just recently checked out the official Snyder Cut trailer. My thoughts are it's Zack Snyder, so we know it's going to be the dark, violent, and bloated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but getting back to the Josh Whedon story at hand, okay?
Yeah, so I guess I was, until this article, that and I'll be honest with you, I was out of touch. You shared this article with me to add to the notes. Mm-hmm. Joss Whedon has an abuse claim brought against him by Charisma Carpenter. I was unaware of this, but this news article is specifically saying Sarah Michelle Gellar and Michelle Trachtenberg. Trachtenberg.
Okay.
I spelled it right in my notes. I should
That's
just read
fine.
my
You're
damn
fine.
notes.
Anyway, I keep saying you're fine.
Which is I was never able to pronounce her last name. Beautiful girl, by the way.
Yes.
I feel badly that I'm mispronouncing it, but
it's fine.
But they're coming out and saying, "Yep, he was a scumbag to us too," basically.
Yeah, well, I remembered. I was a big fan of Angel when that was on. Okay, and I don't know if you had watched.
I did. I have them all on DVD.
Yeah,
Remember, if you like something, own physical media. I have all of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, including the additional season that's basically just a motion comic on DVD, and all of Angel.
yeah, and
I'm sorry, completely unrelated to what you were talking about.
no, I mean it's cool though that you have all that stuff though. I mean, I remember though when Cordelia was kind of written out of the show.
Yeah.
And this was after the pregnancy storyline for her character, and I often wondered, was there bad blood between her and Whedon? I mean, they didn't express it on the show, and she showed up for one final episode too later on, right? But now I'm learning all this stuff. I mean, they don't go into really specifics, but I'll read you quotes. The tide of misconduct allegations against Joss Whedon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer actresses is turning into a tsunami. Minutes after Sarah Michelle Gellar responded to the Charisma Carpenter's claims of abuse by the Avenger director by saying that she stands with all the survivors of abuse and am proud of them for speaking out. Buffy co-star Michelle Trachtenberg has made startling accusations against Whedon. Thank you, Sarah Michelle Gellar, for saying this, said the actress who played Gellar's on-screen little sister in the Supernatural series. I am brave enough now as a 35-year-old woman to report this because this must be known. As a teenager, this was not appropriate behavior. Yep. Very not appropriate. Now, they don't go into specifics on what that not appropriate behavior was.
Which is good. I don't need to know the details.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if Whedon's career is maybe not going to be resuscitated anytime soon.
I have seen this whole Me Too movement abused, misused, but at the core of it, there is something to be said for this. This has been an open secret in Hollywood since the beginning of Hollywood. This idea of the casting couch, the misuse of power. You want to get somewhere, you're going to do something for me. It's sleazy. It's disgusting. This goes back to the famous book Hollywood Babylon. I mean, this is not new information. And the fact that people have allowed it to go on for as long as they have, I'm not going to cast any aspersions at anyone. I'm just going to say it's very sad. And I think it's good that people start to come together and stand against people like this. I am not one of those people that you just abuse. You just believe anybody who makes an abuse allegation. You need to have some evidence. But when 3, 4, 5 people come out and say, this person is a scumbag, this is what he did to me, you got my attention now. I can believe it. And just because I've liked the movies someone has done in the past doesn't mean I want to support, this, I'm trying not to use phrases that might overstep what I'm saying. Jerk, a person, an abusive person.
There you go. But however, another Buffy regular was quick today to back up the actress who portrayed Cordelia Chase on both the Supernatural drama and Angel spinoff. Amber Benson, who played Tara McClay on Buffy, said the show was a toxic environment and Carpenter is speaking the truth. So, okay, a lot of stuff is coming out.
Which is such a huge shame and very disillusioning because there was so much about that show, the writing of it and the themes of that show that were so empowering, that were such a perfect example of, the strong woman and, what would be considered the positive social justice messages. What a shame to find out that the person behind all of that, isn't living up to the message that he was putting out there.
No, well, sometimes projection. You often say confession by projection.
Confession by to be fair, that's not something original. I got that from a YouTuber named Viva Fry, who actually got it from his co-host Barnes Law. So I recommend checking them out for commentary about these social issues in the legal sphere.
Yeah. And I don't know if he'll be talking about any of this, but
he's already commented on the Gina Carano thing, and
okay.
And I did make a comment saying there are some aspects you're not aware of because you're not in that community. But
Owen Lister says this is why we need independents like the Daily Wire to show Hollywood there is not the only ones that could provide the entertainment. Yes.
So something that we said in the previous in the pre-show, I can't even say the previous hour now because we've gone more than an hour on this show. But I made the comparison that I feel that the Daily Wire backing Gina Carano, who is producing and starring in her own film that's coming up, I see that as the cinematic equivalent of Comicsgate, and I am trying to push Cinegate as the new hashtag or the new movement or whatever you want to call it. That's not mine originally. Again, I heard that on Midnight's Edge. Someone said it there first, giving credit where credit's due. But Cinegate, I think, is a modern movement that we're going to see going forward.
I hope so. I mean, it could just be starting with Ben Shapiro, but we'll see if others.
We said it for a long time that independent films are where it's going to be. We got to take the power out of Hollywood, take the bloat out of filmmaking. You don't need to spend multi-million dollars and pay these actors ridiculous multi-million dollar contracts to make good movies. Sometimes the best movies have people in them that you've never seen before. The best Superman was Christopher Reeve, and who knew who the heck he was before Superman the motion picture?
The last time we had, that's true. I mean, he was I think he was in Somewhere in Time right before, right? But
that was after.
Okay, he was known, I think, for stage, and he wasn't known necessarily for movies. Yeah,
and you can argue Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando, but you didn't even need those two. They were billing, but they could have been just as easily cast with lesser known actors that could have played the roles just as
they were purposely put in there to get the audience interested, though, because no one knew who Christopher Reeve was. Not a name.
But you don't need it.
They didn't need it, but they were great,
especially in the internet era. Though. You put out a good enough film, and people will let people know about it on the internet, and people will flock to it, and you'll make your money. You don't need big names behind it.
Yeah,
not anymore.
I think I was listening to Midnight's Edge earlier. They were talking about the last time we saw a really big indie breakthrough. That was back in the 90s, right? Like every 30 years, this happens in Hollywood, where something happens where it allows talent to break through. And the 90s, you had a lot of the independent directors. Jon Favreau got his start making that little movie called Swingers. Did you ever see Swingers?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't even know what it was about.
Him and Vince Vaughn, it was like about like kind of the pickup scene in LA, like in the mid 90s. And it's a funny movie. And that's where Favreau got his start. He's funny in it. Oh man. It's all about like him doing like, I guess what would be early pickup artistry to get numbers.
Sounds like you're recommending this film to me then.
I would recommend it. I would also recommend, even though Favreau didn't direct it, him and Vince Vaughn teamed up again to be, they never teamed up again after these two, but they were a great duo. And they were in a movie called Made, where they basically play guys working for Peter Falk, who's basically mafia. Okay. And they have to do a job.
I love Peter Falk.
And it's funny because Vince Vaughn is so obnoxious in this movie.
That's one of the things I like about Vince Vaughn, because most actors you would go, oh, well, he's this kind of character, right? Yeah. Vince Vaughn has played such a gambit of characters. It's hard to pin him down.
Vince Vaughn, there was a movie that came out a little while ago, and it was a Blumhouse movie, so I wasn't that ecstatic about it. But it was called Freaky, okay? And I think it was supposed to be a take on Freaky Friday. And it was about, the psycho killer going around killing the teenagers, right?
Sure.
And what happens is the psycho killer switches places with the young teenage girl, right? And his brain is in her body, and her mind, his mind is in her body.
So you got the teenage girl trying to kill the adult male?
Well, no, here's what happens. No, it's like Freaky Friday. They switch personalities. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure, exactly.
Her mind is inside the serial killer's body, and his mind is inside her teenage body. So it's much easier for her as the young teenage girl to go around killing people because they don't suspect her. And like Vince Vaughn is doing the dual role as both the psychopath and the teenage girl. Do you understand?
Oh my gosh,
funny.
that sounds so good.
And it actually sounded like a pretty clever idea. I didn't see it, and like I said, it's Blumhouse, so that can always be a mixed bag sometimes. But the idea is clever, and Vince Vaughn can pull off comedy and he can pull off horror. Like you can see him as like the creepy guy, but he also is a great comic actor. And I thought that was good casting.
And I've said this about so many other people. That's an actor, right?
Yes.
And I know Nanette has fallen into this trap too. Oh, I don't like that person because this role they played. Be fair. Okay, they're an actor and they're playing a role. You don't like the role. That doesn't mean that they're a jerk, right? I mean,
ruin Colson's cards.
I see she's talking about Sam Jackson.
I
but
remember that.
The other person that I was thinking of is Lena Headey, who, I mean, if you only focus on Cersei from Game of Thrones, I could see, she said she gets a lot of hate on the street for that role. And it's like, oh, but she was Sarah Connor.
She I remembered her as Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which was the best Terminator 2 sequel we ever got. But
yes, exactly right.
So I think Terminator 3 is underrated. I was
it's
watching
another one that I didn't like at the time, but in retrospect, maybe because of comparison to later stuff.
Oh yes, much better. Like if you watch it now, if that movie had come out now, I would say that's a decent summer action movie. Because at least it had good stunts, and there were actually some funny scenes in Terminator 3, like when I'm going off on a tangent, but like when he goes, he ends up, when the Arnold Terminator shows up and he walks in, and he's like, "I thought I told you to go around the back," and he goes into like a male strip club. And of course, so he's not out of place, and it was funny. And they're doing the Macho Man song, the
right. Exactly.
No, it was like
the Village People.
And there's a scene where he steals the guy's clothes that was on the stage. He puts on these goofy pink sunglasses. And if he had walked out with those, I would have gotten angry at the film, and it would have been like a Last Jedi movement. But he puts them on. Next thing you see, they're falling on the ground, and he crunches them under his foot. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a funny joke, him putting those on for half a second. If he had actually walked out with them, I would have gotten mad. Okay.
Yeah.
But if it was just for half a second, that was the right timber. Something Hollywood doesn't understand now. Okay. But what were we just talking about? We're talking about May. We're talking about Vince Vaughn. Where did this come from? This came from.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about Lena Headey, but that's
okay. We were talking. Okay, but whatever. Okay, we have other news.
Joss Whedon, and what a slime ball he is.
I know. I feel bad though. Like he was behind some great projects. He did that.
Look,
Cabin in the Woods. Loved it. Okay.
A lot of people have said this about a lot of people. We've gotten good things out of bad people, right? I mean, everybody likes to keep saying, this author was racist. Well, yes, they were. They were from a time where almost everyone was racist. That aside, the literature they put out was still excellent, and I'm sorry, just because Wagner, was, associated himself with the National Socialist Party of Germany doesn't mean that Flight of the Valkyries is not a brilliant piece of music. I mean, the two have nothing to do with each other. It's not like he's alive to get any money from me if I support his work.
I think it's in the public domain, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, the composition is
right.
If a particular orchestra records it, that's theirs. Their particular performance of it is. So you can't just take the London Philharmonic's performance of Wagner and play it on your YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah. Wolf 10 Media, you make a point. Actually, let me get down to this. He wasn't involved. He wasn't alone in making Firefly, and I can still watch it. You can still watch stuff by Joss Whedon. Okay. I still watch movies Kevin Spacey was in. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he gave great performances. Okay. LA Confidential is one of my favorite movies. Okay. And like I said, we are not getting, to be fair, we're not getting Whedon's side of the story, but the allegations are really starting to pile up now. Okay. That stuff happens on the set. Plus there was that whole thing with him and his wife and the letter that got out a few years back.
It's absolutely true. Just because a bunch of people make accusations doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty of something. I don't want to necessarily go there either. We also live in a culture where he looked at me and made me feel uncomfortable, and therefore you're assuming what was going on in his head. Did he actually do or say anything to you that was untoward? I mean, what are we talking about here? And since there haven't been any specifics, we can't make any judgments. But you're right. I mean, if there is anything there with multiple allegations, okay. So I guess let me put some context on what I'm saying here. I'm not assuming guilt on Joss Whedon's part. I'm just saying, if he is a scumbag, he deserves it. And whatever. But he better have his day in court, and he better get it out there, because if it comes out that there's all this evidence against him, well, F him then.
They've asked him. That campus declined to comment. We have other news though. Should I go on?
Please. It's your show. You don't have to ask my opinion.
I'm asking your opinion if I should go on, if you had anything else to say, because we have Wizard of Oz remake in the works from Watchmen TV show director.
How do we feel about this director? Nicole Castle.
I don't know much about her. I did not watch the Watchmen television series because it did you see it?
I saw commentaries on it.
Everything I heard sounded like, and frankly, unless Alan Moore was writing it, I'm not going to even pay attention to it, because it's
Alan Moore didn't even want there to be a film adaptation of his own comics.
Nope, he was pretty adamant about that.
But no, it was very clear that, and I was a fan of the original Watchmen comic, and I saw the Zack Snyder film and liked it. I did understand what Alan Moore was saying. I did not think it ought to have been made a film. I feel that some stories are told in a particular media for a particular reason, and this should not have been translated to cinema. But I think Zack Snyder did the best job that could have been done translating this story to another media. That being said, there should never have been a comic book continuation of the story. I am not a big supporter of the whole, what was that event that happened in the DC comics where Dr. Manhattan was created, the New 52 universe, whatever that storyline was. And I am not at all a fan of the whole idea behind this series that, from everything I've heard, just sucked.
Yeah, I heard about the finale too. I don't think it's getting a follow-up, but I haven't heard anything. What do you think?
Like I said, I haven't had any strong feelings, not having watched it, so I haven't really followed the news on it.
It just struck me. HBO shows can be hit or miss, and these sometimes more hit than miss. Like sometimes you have great HBO series that start out well, and then they hit that third season and things fall off the rails.
I'll be honest. Here's my take as someone who didn't see it, just looking at all the news articles. My gut instinct is that this was HBO's attempt to capitalize on the success of the brouhaha about The Boys. This was their version of The Boys, right?
Probably, yeah.
And they fell very, very short.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Doomsday Clock. Thank you, Casey Scott. That's what I was thinking.
Leia Plus Size says there's a reason why Wizard of Oz is a classic, and now they will kill it like everything else in Hollywood.
Well, so in the thumbnail, I took somebody's online artwork where they took Dorothy, made her like this dark grim version, and then I put the Watchmen blood spatter over it. That's my gut instinct about what this is going to be. I in fact, when Boomer first told me about this piece of news, my first thought was, what, you mean like Return to Oz? Is that what we're talking about here? Anybody that is old enough to remember Return to Oz remembers that was nightmare fuel.
I remember A Return to Oz, and people like to attack that movie, but I don't know. I remember being.
I didn't say it was bad. I
It's
said it
nightmare
was
fuel.
nightmare
All
fuel.
80s children's movies were nightmare fuel. Okay?
Most of them were in some way,
Okay.
shape, or form. You're absolutely right. That
Because
doesn't mean they weren't entertaining. That doesn't mean they weren't
the
good.
boomers hated Gen X. Okay, so anyway, okay, but here we go. I'll read you from the article. Okay, if you want to hear the take on it. Okay,
Please.
following Nicole Cassell's critically acclaimed work on HBO's Watchmen, I maybe. Okay, I guess it was critically acclaimed. Okay, the director has been tapped to head a Wizard of Oz remake film. This is making me very nervous. New Line Cinema has greenlit the Wizard of Oz remake with Watchmen television show director Nicole Cassell attached to oversee the project. The film will be updated reimagining of L. Frank Baum's classic children's novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Originally published at the turn of the 20th century, the story follows a girl named Dorothy as she navigates an otherworldly terrain with quirky new allies while trying to return home. That is very like pared down description of what the Wizard of Oz is about.
Yeah.
Okay. As reported by Variety, Nicole Cassell will direct the Wizard of Oz's latest adaptation for Temple Hill Entertainment and New Line. This cinematic remake will purportedly draw on familiar elements, like Dorothy's ruby red slippers, to offer a quote-unquote fresh take on the beloved novel. In response to the news, Cassell celebrated the opportunity to take the reins on this upcoming production. As reported by Variety, Nicole Cassell will direct the Wizard of Oz's latest adaptation for... Okay. Hold on. I repeated myself. Okay. But it's one of those nights, guys. Hold on, though. What's her quote, though? All right. Considering The Wizard of Oz has saturated popular culture, promoting an intense familiarity of the story within the United States culture milieu, it will be intriguing to witness how Cassell shapes the upcoming adaptation. Of course, Baum's novel provides much to play with in terms of story development. The source material contains a complicated web of narrative arcs and many characters not introduced in the 1939 film with Judy Garland. In a way, the creative possibilities for Cassell's adaptation are endless. So how do we feel?
I think this is, I mean, it's not a remake, right? So, I mean,
well, I would argue
something.
it's another adaptation. That's something that we have to be careful because, like, when someone makes a movie based off a book and someone else makes another movie based off a book, is it really a remake if it's just another adaptation of the same book?
So I made a joke about Return to Oz. That wasn't really a sequel to the MGM classic Wizard of Oz. Nobody has made that assertion that was the case. It's kind of weird that they would do a story that's set later in, the progression, and not have it be a direct sequel to another film. But it is what it is, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I'm going to say that anything that is done as a similar kind of sequel, not sequel to The Wizard of Oz, and it doesn't involve Fairuza Balk, I'm going to say forget about it. Not interested.
Did you see the Oz, the Great and Powerful prequel thing they did?
Was that the one back with Harry Osborn?
Yeah. That was the one with
and Ashton Kutcher's wife.
Okay, we are so bad tonight. I hate
I'm
this.
Doing the boomer
I
stuff
hate
here.
this. I'm not this bad when you talk to me normally. Okay. Oh God, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Hold on. What's his name? James Franco.
Yeah,
okay?
That's who I meant. That's Harry Osborn, right?
Okay, and Black Swan actress, not Natalie Portman. Okay.
Yeah, the other one.
Never mind.
Okay,
this is a fail. People are leaving right now. Okay, all right. Let me see. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Mila Kunis.
Natalie Portman's lesbian fantasy, right?
Mila Kunis. There we go. Took us 5 minutes to get the answers to the actors. Wolfton's laughing right now. Okay, Oz the Great and Powerful. Yes. Did you see the OZ miniseries for the Sci-Fi Channel?
I did, and I loved it.
I liked it. It was completely. That's an example of someone reimagining something where I know I should hate this, but I like it.
I know, right?
I know.
Not to mention that the casting was just spot on. People I loved that in great roles, and the fact that it was on Sci-Fi. Let's face it, Sci-Fi has been incredibly hit or miss. You know, you have that. You have The Lost Room. You have Warehouse 13. And then on the other side of the coin, you have things like Frankenfish and Mega Shark versus I don't remember what the hell stuff. I mean, just oh gosh, I don't even know.
You mean Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus?
Oh yeah, see, you know.
Okay, with Tiffany in it, right? Wasn't she the
Was she?
singer?
I might have
singer?
to
Yeah.
revisit that thing.
Yes.
I like
Oh man. And then there was Sharknado. Okay.
that was Sci-Fi, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. So the point was is
Well-
that this was a much bigger, better production, and I forget the actor who played the Tin Man, but I like him. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was
yeah.
in Star Trek Generations. Great. I can't remember his name.
He's a kind of well, yeah, but anyway, that was a neat little miniseries. It was a whole science fiction twist on the Wizard of Oz. And you know, she was going after her evil sister, right? And then it turns out you find out later the sister was possessed by an evil witch. That's why it was the
Neil McDonough.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. But
And Zoe Deschanel, as a matter of fact.
was Zoe Deschanel was in the OZ. That's right.
She
Who
was
in it?
Dorothy.
Who was in the Wonderland movie? They did one for Wonderland 2 with a science fiction twist, didn't they? With like the Hatter and everyone else. Do you remember that? They did one for Alice in Wonderland as well. Okay. You didn't see that one, I take it.
I did see the Alice in Wonderland.
They did like a Sci-Fi Channel one for Alice in Wonderland as well. And it was another one of these where it was like science fiction based, but I forget who the actress was in that, but okay. Anyway, though, Wizard of Oz remake. Here's the deal. On the surface, I don't have a problem with them redoing all the bomb novels. They probably should be made to movies. I mean, they stopped with Wizard of Oz because I guess they were afraid we can't really top this, so we never got sequels back in the day. I don't know if Hollywood was really that into doing sequels back in the day. I mean,
well,
you know,
and
and
the fact is, it's a novel that exists, and you don't have to make a sequel to The Wizard of Oz. Retell the original Wizard of Oz. Don't even call it a remake. Don't let anyone publicizing it refer to it as a remake. You let them know this is The Wizard of Oz, as told by Frank Baum. Call it Baum's Wizard of Oz or whatever if you have to. Go back to the original novel, make a good movie of it, and then do your sequels from there. You can create a whole franchise if you want to.
Here's what I say for this director. Okay, you've been handed the keys to the kingdom. Just make a good movie. Okay, that's all I ask.
It's and
that'll be help for whatever representation. Just make a good movie. Prove yourself. Yeah. Oh, I admit I forgot to apologize last night for me being late. For me actually posting the stream early. I meant to apologize for everybody at the beginning of the stream. Do you remember that? And you were like, "Boomer, you're on in 10 minutes." Remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
I was messing with you. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I needed chiding, and I apologize for anyone's time I wasted last night who were thinking there was going to be a stream last night. And but I was busy watching The Enforcer with Clint Eastwood.
Ooh,
and
nice.
That's the third Dirty Harry movie. What I love about the third Dirty Harry movie, okay, is that we have he faces his greatest adversary ever, a female partner. Okay. The point is that, they have all these women coming, they have this female officer come in to apply to being a detective. And he's like, well, how many felony arrests have you made? I've never made a felony arrest. How many misdemeanor arrests have you made? It's just, I've never made one. And she's like, then what business do you have here applying when guys have been out there, putting their lives on the line to get a job like this? And, he's really hard on her, but as the movie goes and they make her a detective anyway, they force her on him. But as the movie goes, you realize that she actually has a lot of respect for Harry Callahan, and she's in it for the same reason he is. She wants to stop crime. She's just trying to prove herself with the men. Okay.
Right.
It's more of a second wave feminism thing. Okay.
Yeah. And unfortunately the second wave feminism was spot on. I mean, it was all about actual fairness. Right. merit driven. If I am able to perform as well as any man, I deserve the respect that comes with that. It's not that I want any handouts because I'm a woman. In fact, that would be considered to be an insult if you treat me differently because I'm a woman. Unfortunately, the third and fourth wave feminism is I am owed something because I don't have dangly bits between my legs.
Yeah. And that's basically my message to any. I mean, we're getting a lot more female directors, and that's fine. Just do your best. Just make a good movie, and then don't. That's all I'm asking. Don't try and use it as a platform for preaching. Okay.
If you don't make a good movie that people don't like, then learn from that and make a better movie. Don't blame the fact that you're stand on principle that you're a woman and that men hate you because you're a woman. You know what? You effed up. Take ownership of it.
Yeah.
Put on your big girl pants and be a woman.
I am going to say this, and this is something not even just with everybody in the industry, male or female, right now or whatever. They in the old days when Hollywood would mess up a movie, the critics would scream at them, the audience would scream at them, and they'd admit it. We messed up. We'll do better next time. Yeah. There was actual admittance when they would make a bad film. Okay. Like I remember poor Irving Kershner when he directed RoboCop 2, and everybody seemed to hate that movie, and he said he never quite recovered. And I actually kind of liked that movie, but I know some people don't. But the point is that directors took things to heart and would try and be better and would learn from those mistakes. You don't get that now. Now it's harassment when you criticize a movie. Okay,
and that's where we are. Continue to have mediocrity. That's why you continue to have shittier and shittier movies all the time, because you have that. It's not me, it's you. The fans are stupid because they don't like good movies. No, start looking in the mirror. If people are telling you they don't like it and they're not coming to your movie, it's not because of any political thing. It's because you made a crappy movie. You can, if you make a good enough movie, then whatever message you want to put into it is not going to detract from its success.
Yeah. But we're in those different times now, aren't we?
We are in very different times. What is that? What is that ancient curse? May you live in interesting times. They don't get more interesting than this. I'm telling you.
That's a Chinese.
I'm sure. Actually, they could get more interesting. I'm afraid that they will.
I remember the other day when that news broke and you were kind of beside yourself. Remember that? You were like, I don't even know I forgot exactly what you said to me, but it was like, like that the firing came as a big shock to us this week. Okay, I'll put it to you that way. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we know they would take steps, but not steps that far. Okay. And It's just
it's been a week, I tell you. And I'll tell you, it's at the risk of going off on a tangent, but I think it ties all of these things together that we talk about every week. These issues on social media, the blaming, the co-opting of language and changing what words mean and using epithets that do not apply, but using them because you've changed the meaning of these words. It's somebody, I don't remember, some YouTuber, I don't remember who it was, said it really interesting. It's like a psyop. They're messing with our heads, playing us against each other to undermine business, politics, our country, and the overall world. And I'm not talking like cabals or pulling like conspiracy theory BS. I'm talking about freaking anarchists that may not have anything to do with each other, but they're all using the same tactics to literally, it was like the Nolan Batman. Sometimes people just want to see the world burn. There are so many people that want to see the world burn that it literally is burning around us, and you are either speaking out against it or you're just sitting back and letting it happen.
I do think that there is. I do see a growing thing. I think people have been exhausted by all the politics. I
Yeah.
think people are afraid because let's face facts. Some of the you have the big. It's not just the anarchists in the streets. It's the big corporations. It seems like everyone's against us, and maybe we could just like ignore it and like go into our little groups and just not have to worry about the rest of the world. But I do think, at least for me, there's a like I know that another YouTuber I watched there, he was pointing out that the normies are going to do what they do and they're going to go out and they're going to buy Disney Plus and do whatever they do and there's nothing we do to stop it. But I would argue that we've all been normies at some point and some of us maybe even still be, and sometimes you wake up and you need validation, and that's when you come to I don't want to toot my own horn here, not this stream, but any stream that's criticizing popular culture, and then you realize you're not alone. And I think that's the service talking about these stories. Like our next story we're going to do. Like I don't like talking about the bad in the media, and I don't like giving certain companies necessarily attention, but I think we need to because I don't think we can turn a blind eye, especially for people that are waking up to all the bad stuff going on. Like some people are ignorant, and then you're ignorant one day and you're not ignorant the next, if I'm making any sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you start to wake up, you need validation that there are other people out there that think like you.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. There's become a tribalism that that is in and of itself, I would argue not necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of people talk about tribalism and they talk about the evils and the ills of it. There is value to it, but unfortunately it has been co-opted and using tribalism against, the different factions that exist. And we have turned very mundane things like our fandoms and our politics into our religions, right?
Yeah.
Things that are so important to us and so core to who we are that truth does not matter anymore. Now it's just what we believe and what we're told to believe by the people that we trust, and anyone that doesn't believe what we believe are evil and deserving of being unseated as even being human, as being treated like villains that need to be destroyed.
It's a slippery slope one can fall down, Don. I mean, to be fair, and all movements have their dark side. Any one of us can turn into that if we're not careful.
Yeah,
I think. Okay, I mean,
and this is why it is so crucial for people of sound mind and a conscientious heart to speak out about these things and call each other out when they're being jerks. People in our own community that are acting like asses and saying, you know what, even though I mostly agree with you, you're kind of being a jerk and you're making it personal and you're not being a friend to me when you act this way.
Yeah, I mean, we should be figuring out ways also to be mending fences too. Okay, especially if there are divides even in this community or in other communities, and there's a way to turn being right into being wrong. When you are right and you turn around and you make people feel bad and say, "See, I told you so." Yeah, you were right. Now you're being an ass. Yeah. And it's not even that any of us are necessarily even, but it's the way about the message is delivered. Yeah. That's what bugs us. Yeah,
that's true. I've always said, and I say this to every boss that I have, because I generally am working in some sort of a customer service field. I understand the concept of diplomacy. Diplomacy is the art of telling someone to go to hell and making them look forward to the trip. So if you want to tell me you were right and I was wrong, there is a nice way to say it and make me go, yeah, you're right. I was wrong. Okay. But when you're an ass about it, now suddenly I am standing opposed to you because you were being a jerk about it.
It's the get more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah. That's actually a better way to put it. But yeah.
I wonder where that came from. Did that come from the Appalachians? Do you know how many colloquialisms we have in the United States that come from the Appalachian Mountains? Needle in a haystack, that's from there. Ridden hard and put away wet. You look like something the cat dragged in, the dog wouldn't eat. That's all from the
did you
good
know
people
that's
in the
not politically
Appalachians.
correct now? You can't use phrases like that. You can't say something the cat dragged in. You can't say more than one way to skin a cat because that hurts animals' feelings. That's what PETA said last week. I'm not even joking about this.
Let's have the less high-pitched laugh. Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to end tonight with some bad news. I like to end the night with good news. So this is a sad week. This is a sad week.
It has been.
There will be better weeks at some point. I can't guarantee that though. Watch what you know what I've been dealing with this year by watching a Clint Eastwood movie once a week, and I will get to When Eagles Dare. That is on the docket. I'm getting through the Dirty Harrys now, and then I'm gonna get okay. But Dirty Harry, I love Dirty Harry, and I love Clint Eastwood in general, his westerns. So find something you like right now and escape with it. Because as I think your boy Zach, his videos, he was making a point that escapism is no longer escapist. Okay, it's now like a source for drama and thing. Whereas you used to leave the drama in your life to go to escapist stuff. Now the escapist stuff is now causing drama in your life.
That's true.
But anyway, this is sad story. Out of all the many horrible things Disney has done, the thing that I hated most that they done was them buying out the studio 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox, I thought, was a good movie studio. They had hits and misses, but for the most part, they made some great movies the last decade. They did talk about a franchise that got rebooted that I liked, the Planet of the Apes reboot. I loved all three of those movies.
Yeah,
good
I did
job
too.
there. And now Disney owns them, and of course they're going to use the excuse, of course, of the economy. But let's be blunt here: were they ever going to keep this animation house open? I always figured that they were going to move the people over to the Disney studios, but apparently, let me just find it here. The
Blue Sky Studios.
Blue Sky Studios. Thank you. The guys, the people responsible for Ice Age and the Peanuts movie, which I loved. Great job on the Peanuts movie.
I just saw that on your recommendation. You were
like
right about that. That was great.
It was honoring all the Charlie Brown
Honestly,
characters.
I went into it, even with your recommendation, I went into it with so much trepidation, but you were spot on right. I really did enjoy that.
You were worried they were going to mess it up.
I was.
Yes. I was like, oh, they're setting
I thought
Peanuts
you
in
were
the
just
modern
being
day.
generous, but
they're setting the Peanuts in the modern day. The only thing modern about it was they had some modern pop songs in there, but other than that, it was classic Peanuts. They did it in 3D, but they did it in 3D in such a way that it still had that kind of 2D look, the cartoon look. And the neat thing is when they would do flashbacks, it would be in the old-fashioned 2D animation.
Which
so
was brilliant.
I got a kick out of that. And great job with the Peanuts movie. I am really sad. Why is it the good people have to go and the bad people stay making stuff?
And so many YouTubers comment on this, how the failures seem to fail up in modern Hollywood. But I'll be honest with you, and certain people in our community keep saying this is not true. I think that the cream ultimately rises to the top. I believe that you cannot continue to stand in opposition to economics. Okay, if Disney or Hollywood or whatever studio is not continuing to make money, they will eventually suffer ultimately. Okay, we're not going to see it in the short term. There is a lot of money there that they can keep greasing the wheel, and they can keep throwing good money after bad to keep getting their messages out. One of two things is going to happen. Either we are going to end up like that country that we, the political party that took over Germany after World War I, and it won't matter. The free market system will end. The government will be in charge, and as long as they keep putting out the propaganda, they will continue to profit. Either that will happen, or ultimately, under actual capitalism, these companies will eventually not have enough money to keep going forward, and they will go bankrupt. Yeah. No company is too big to fail. In fact, companies are getting to the point where they are too big to save. We were talking about this in the previous hour. Disney is so big and can potentially fall so far that they're waiting for a bailout from the government there's only so much money they can get from the government. They may not be able to get enough to save themselves between COVID and the stupid decisions they keep making and, puffing up their numbers. You can only lie and build a bubble in the stock market so long. They went into their investor meeting saying, look at how many people we have subscribing to Disney Plus. And we all know full well, these are not paying subscriptions. These are people that are going in and getting free subscriptions because they, are subscribing to Hulu or they're subscribing to something else. The money is not there. They're free subscriptions. Or they're just making up their numbers. I don't know what the hell, but the dollars are not there. They can't
like Apple TV Plus,
right?
My free subscription that I haven't looked at
because
yet.
there is no legal obligation for them to disclose that information, and that's a bubble that will pop eventually.
I am waiting for. Actually, I keep saying I'm waiting for things. I don't know what's happening in the future. Okay, but anyway.
Well, I think I do. Okay. I look at history to determine what's going to happen in the future. And if you continue to ignore what I'm saying, because there is an option. If I'm wrong, we are moving into a much darker future than any of us believes. Okay.
I hope that you're wrong. I don't think the fight's over. I'm not going to get into it here, but there are reasons to be hopeful. It looks bad now. Let's wait a couple of years.
Well, no,
okay,
what I'm saying is hopeful in a way.
Yes,
if Disney fails, if they go bankrupt, if they change the course and go, we got to stop this, and they excise the morons, the free market wins. Everything turns out hunky-dory. If they continue to throw good money after bad, and they are enabled to do that because the oligarchs and the technocrats and the socialists take over this country, yes, you will have proved me wrong, but congratulations. Now you live under the darkest future, and the only solace you have is that you were right and you proved Troy wrong. And you can remember that as you're standing in your bread line.
Bread lines. Did I tell you I had family that grew up in the Depression?
I did too.
Yes.
And that's why I am saying the things I do now, because I learned from my grandmother who went through the Depression and said, get your head on straight. Don't go into debt. Take care of yourself, keep your head down. Although that's one thing I'm not doing that my grandmother said. I'm not keeping my head down. But I also know that, the only thing for evil to succeed is for men of good conscience to do nothing. And I can't do nothing. I will speak up.
And I wanted to say
I will be like Gina Carano.
Okay. Well, that's the thing, though. Gina Carano is in some ways, I won't just flat out say it. She's the hero that she portrays in real life. Okay. And I look forward to seeing, I hope that whatever the Daily Wire puts out is really good. I look forward to seeing it.
Let me tell you something about that. Mm-hmm. I know, for one, I don't know even what she's doing, what the movie's going to be about. I know nothing. But I know that if they decide to crowdfund it, I'm going to put whatever money I can to it. If it comes out in the theater, if it comes out as a streaming service, I will pay for it. I will support it financially any way that I can. And let me tell you something. I have to believe that this movie is going to be a huge success, just like Passion of the Christ. And it's not going to get any awards, and nobody's going to ever talk about it, but it's going to make more money than anything in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think so. And that happens. Well, I remember when that movie came out, they were wanting that one to fail in the worst way. This was before all the controversy happened with Mel Gibson after. But I remember, do you know the drive-in host, Joe Bob Briggs? He used to be on TNT.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, we used to host Monster Vision, and he was actually in my neck of the woods, and he was doing a lecture at a community college I was at, and he had a book called Profoundly Disturbing, and he was saying these are all about controversial movies. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
And like there are different ones in there, like The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even Drunken Master with Jackie Chan, like all these controversial movies that came out. And he was making a point. What's the latest controversial movie? It was The Passion of the Christ, because that one everyone is attacking right now. Okay, when that came out, and I have a suspicion that whatever the Daily Caller produces, it's going to be controversial, but sometimes that can work in your favor and that can build buzz.
Look,
okay,
I'll say,
make it something forbidden to see.
I never would have thought we were going to be talking about Passion of the Christ tonight, but that's a movie that as a Christian went and saw that movie. It was flawed in my opinion, from my faith. It was very much from a very, very conservative, very Catholic point of view. I think it had some things in it that I don't think are appropriate doctrinally. But I thought in many ways, many elements of it were some of the best portrayals of Christ I've ever seen on film. And I thought it deserved to be supported. And I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of non-Catholic Christians that were like, yep, I'm going to go support it. Absolutely.
Even Roger Ebert and Richard Roper. I always gave Roger Ebert and Richard Roper credit. Okay, like Roger Ebert, of course, he and I would not ally politically. Always fair to film. Always gave movies a fair chance. And I didn't always agree with what he thought, but he never had a political bias going into whether or not he liked the movie. He liked The Passion of the Christ. He said it was a great epic film.
Yeah.
Okay. And it didn't deserve all this, all the flack it was getting.
Yeah.
And and we'll see what the Daily Caller brings about. I wish them the best. And I'm just, I'm trying to think what else. I had another point I wanted to bring up, and it's fled my mind. I hate it when that happens.
That's okay. You're a boomer. It fits the brand.
But I did. Ben Shapiro did have a comment though. We have to build the TIE fighter to destroy the Death Star.
I love that. That was classic. That was classic. This is not the first time he's made Star Wars references. He's good.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else was in the news though. Basically,
well, we made it through our notes, which is better than I expected us to do tonight. And we've had a full really 3 hours if you count the pre-show. So I mean, we've pretty much done it, right? We should probably get to the point where we start wrapping up because we want to be fair to Mr. Matchstick, who's doing a Weeb Watch tonight
of Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
I am exhausted. I'm exhausted. Otherwise, I'd be joining him.
I know. Bebop. He invited me too, and I was like, I can't. I did the stream with Matthew Flynn this morning, kind of early for me on a Sunday, and then the pre-show, and then 2 hours here. I'm done. I can't do anymore.
Yeah, but Cowboy Bebop, it's one of the great classic animes. You can enjoy it if you need escapism. I mean,
great example.
Actually, go ahead.
I was going to say anime. I am not a huge anime fan, but everything I've heard is that anime has thus far done a great job of avoiding and dodging all of this SJW BS. So it is becoming more and more a go-to for people that are looking for good entertainment without all the BS.
Yeah, and it fled my mind again. I had something else.
Which is why join us every other Friday night over on Mr. Matchstick's channel. As Mr. Matchstick, Aged Boomer,
Wolf 10 Media
and myself are talking about, to the best of our abilities, franchises that we can think of that are still awesome, that have thus far not been corrupted by the modern progressive far left BS. And I am having a hard time coming up with a topic to talk about this week myself, but
you got a little disillusioned after last time.
Last week kind of killed me. Yeah, because my previous topic was about The Mandalorian, and that just got blown out of the water.
And it can happen to anybody. I mean, Nintendo, that was my topic. A few years ago, they were getting me angry because they released a couple localizations that got really messed up because I think to appease the SJWs, but they've gotten better since then. And they made a point, though, even if they do it themselves with the stuff they publish, they'll never do it through a third party. They will never forcibly censor anybody making stuff on their system. As long as they abide by the SRB, they'll leave them alone. So I had to give them points for that. So that's how I came back to Nintendo. That was a lot to say in that couple minutes. Okay.
Oh, that's
But,
absolutely fair.
All right.
You know
Okay.
what? Rather than type, I'm going to take the opportunity to use the mic. Trooper FN 2525 is saying, if you like Clint Eastwood, can you do a rewatch of Pale Rider? I'm sure there will be a Pale Rider rewatch at some point, but if I am going to host a Clint Eastwood rewatch, the very next Clint Eastwood rewatch I host will be Heartbreak Ridge.
Trooper F92525, though, this Wednesday, Soundtracks of Birdman and I, we're going to be doing a Fistful of Dollars rewatch. So that's a good Clint Eastwood Western, and we are going to do a rewatch of that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Soundtracks with Birdman channel, okay? And so go ahead and check that out if you want to hear us hear me ramble about Clint Eastwood, hopefully when I'm more with it, okay? But anyway. But, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. I'm kind of glad to be done with this week. In fact, I think I said to
long week.
I think I said to Matchstick when he asked me to be on the stream tonight, I said, I have so much going on this week with the streams that we're doing and the prep work that I have to do and so on and so forth. I said, I'm almost looking forward to Monday to rest up from the weekend.
Oh, yes, that's true. Oh, and Lister, happy Valentine's Day. Yes, happy Valentine's to everybody.
Happy Valentine's
and tomorrow,
Day, everyone.
Happy President's Day. Remember, I meant to bring them up tonight too. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all these men who talk about standing up when other people were telling you where you were wrong and stuff, and just I mean, they were the heroes, really, if you look at what they had to deal with.
It's very true. It's very true. I'm just so upset that we fought a revolution, we fought civil war, we fought the War of 1812, people standing up for what was right to defend our country, to create our country, and it looks like we've raised a generation that's just going to piss it away.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyway, everyone have a good night, and check out Matchstick's channel, Cowboy Bebop. Lots of fun. Okay.
Yep.
Take
care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.